Caught up in memories, I was not tired anymore. Sitting on the couch Appy had bought for my mother when she got married in 1941, and which somehow had survived the war, I started to read. The diary began on April 21st, 1945, in Berlin, where Appy, aged 57, served as a military doctor, with the rank of major. He was stationed in the Central District, what the Nazis called the Citadel, near the Reichstag, the Brandenburg Gate, and Hitler's bunker. Almost instantly, the enjoyable nostalgia of life with my grandfather was swept away by the terror he faced day by day. He lived under the howling of bombs and the heavy rain of grenade splinters. The familiar streets lay buried under mountains of rubble, twisted wires, burned-out streetcars, and bomb craters. Acrid smoke and dust made it hard to breathe and transformed day into night. Together with other gray, emaciated survivors, many of them refugees from the east, Appy tried to forge a path through this wilderness. Without sanitation and without water after they had drained the last drops from the heaters, he felt almost helpless to assist the wounded and dying in the medical bunker. The only light came from a few Hindenburg candles, bits of tallow in cardboard, and everyone took care to scoop up and reuse every fallen drop. Over all hung the stench of decaying bodies and excrement. Unimaginable. Just now I've been looking for spaces where one can at least have the sick sit down or lay them on the ground for the night, without doors or windows, but at least protected from rain and safe from grenade splinters, although cold without padding. Corpses lie in a chapel of the Ziegelstrasse Clinic, for the most part without clothes, men and women together in layers. Reading late into the night, I felt as if, years after his death in 1955, Appy was there, speaking to me and helping me understand him much more intimately. I now saw him at his most desperate, when his existence had shrunk down to paralyzing anxiety, with only the slenderest ray of hope to keep him going. On almost every page, I also saw his love for me, his 3-year-old fatherless granddaughter, and I anxiously followed his mental and physical deterioration. Witness to daily horrors, he was driven to the point of collapse, and he felt so desperately alone, unable to communicate with us. His best company was the swifts and swallows he watched circling over the ruins. They, too, had become homeless. Finally, long after midnight, worn out emotionally, I had to stop reading. But I resolved to translate the diaries and tell Appy's story. Back home, I set to work immediately. Always a writer, Appy had furnished an eloquent testimony of his experiences in 1945. I began to understand how his diary was an attempt to cope with the horror of war and a refuge in the maelstrom of chaos and death. It served as a lifeline to a saner and more humane existence, a world that was all but lost. He clung to the hope that at some happier time in the future we would be able to read these notes, although, he admitted, they are paltry in relation to the shocking force of my inner experiences. As I worked my way through the diaries, an abbreviation appeared more and more frequently. It was 2 letters, PG. I recalled dimly that this might, no must, mean Parteigenossen, party members. Surely not my grandfather. And then I made my second discovery. Appy had been a PG, a member of the Nazi Party, the National Socialist German Workers' Party. I had not known this. It had never been mentioned in my family. I sat there with a pounding heart, saying to myself over and over, in the crudest and most shocking terms, "Oh my God, Appy was a Nazi!"